Good evening all, welcome to Disqualified Dads. Please like, subscribe and share if you haven't already. And if you want to help support the channel, there is a PayPal link in the description. So sponsor, donate, help keep the channel on the road. Now today I have a very special guest. I have Sister Javed, the divorce coach. We connected a few weeks ago, I think, on Instagram, and got the opportunity to interview her as she's in London. And she made her debut yesterday on the Islam channel, if I'm correct, as well. So it's a very special guest. And obviously she's a divorce coach. So Sister Javed, tell us a bit about yourself and what you do and how you got here, basically.
First of all, thank you for inviting me here. So my name is Aishah and I am an Islamic divorce coach, and I predominantly work with Muslim women who have gone through divorce or are thinking about going through the procedure of divorce, to really help them within the mindset. So most of the time I'm working with women who have gone through a lot of abuse in their marriage, whether that's from their own families, whether that's the ex-husband or the ex-partner's family, or things from their own childhoods that have been brought up as well. And then taking them from being really hurt, in pain, to hopefully a place of healing, understanding where they are, acceptance, so they're not very bitter, angry, they're not full of rage. So all of those emotions are what I deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Okay.
We're not currently working with Muslim brothers, but I think going forward, there's a demand for that as well. So we're looking into, at the moment, possibly putting some sort of courses together for Muslim men,
Okay.
so that they can come together in groups
Mm-hmm.
to deal with the anger that they face as well, the anger, the rage, the jealousy, it may happen sometimes, so that they have something that they can actually get enrolled onto as well, apart from what the court procedures tell you to do.
Okay, so how did you get into this whole divorce coaching? I mean, what made you get into this, if you don't mind me asking, please?
No, of course. So I actually went through my own divorce. It was many years ago now, alhamdulillah. And me and my girl, we actually moved to a women's refuge.
Right.
So that's the only option I knew then at that time of how to get away.
Mm-hmm.
And we were there for about 10 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So we were there for 10 weeks, and I remember being there thinking that one day I want to come back and help women like this,
Okay, so
that has been in that position of domestic violence,
okay.
and whether they had like visa issues, because a lot of women did, and just help them rebuild their confidence again. And fast forward to about 3 years ago, when I started seeing a lot more women online who were qualified in like psychology, and things like that, I decided that's the route that I want to go through. So I first started off with general parents, and then decided, you know what, a lot of these women, they're really struggling in their marriage.
Mm-hmm.
I've been through this position. I know what it's like to go through that. I've just finished my qualifications. Why don't I do divorce? Specifically divorce, because there's not a lot out there, and I certainly didn't have a lot to lean on when I went through that process.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
So, okay, so just so I understand fully, yeah. So your insight and your study and how you help you get them through the divorce or the emotional damage that the divorce leaves, you help them get past the pain and trauma and back to a good place where they can carry on with life, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay. And if you don't mind me asking that, Isla, so you went to a shelter yourself, yeah?
Yeah.
Was it because you faced some sort of abuse? Can I ask? If you don't
Yeah.
mind me asking that, yeah?
At that point, I didn't really understand it. I just remember feeling incredibly controlled,
Mm-hmm.
with different aspects of my life, and I wasn't used to that from my parents.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's the only thing I did know, is that I can't do this. So
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of emotional, psychological, some parts of my life there was also physical abuse as well. And so when it came to that point, I had already gone through multiple steps of like talking to family, a separation for a little bit, and then I just decided like enough was enough. My girl is young. I don't want her to ever see this again. Um, and I left.
Okay, right. So let me I'm gonna ask you something now because of what I know and what I've seen in the family courts now. And as I've said from the beginning, on disqualified dads and generally as a human being, I believe abuse is abuse, whether it's the husband doing it or the wife, some stranger on the
Yeah.
street, whoever. It's not gender based, and if we continue with the gender based argument, we can't progress as a community and a
Yeah.
society. Yeah.
Yeah.
So putting that aside, my heart goes out, and I'll go one step further. If a sister is getting abused, like genuinely abused, and we can demonstrate, we can see there's evidence to it, then obviously I support
Yeah.
those the sisters that have been alienated from their kids and lost contact. We support them as well. So it's not about, I'm not here to bash women, and like I say, you're not here to bash men. We're
No.
trying to get to a sensible place as a community and a society, and maybe we can pave the way and lead an example for other communities maybe right, at some point. So, you know what, after saying that, I forgot the point I was trying to make, so hold on, just bear with me. Classic. Right, so yes, so now look, I work with a lot of brothers, which I'm sure you work with a lot of fathers groups as well yourself.
Yeah.
Now, though there are a lot of genuine victims out there who are suffering, we know that the abuse card, once a relationship ends, the abuse card ultimately comes with a lot of benefits from the government, yeah? So from the family court, CMS, and all the other associated systems and organizations that are built up around divorce, they incentivize the abuse card ultimately, yeah? Now, I'm sure, obviously, as we discussed off camera, you know of cases where brothers have been accused of many things, yeah? Now, for those sisters that are out there who are coerced, I'll say this, that are coerced into making these allegations and abuse, and like I've said in other videos, yeah? They are coerced into it because the people coercing them are making money on the back of this. These sisters are being exploited, yeah?
Yeah.
Now, what do you think of that ultimately?
To be honest, the one thing that I want to say is, when I went through my own situation, there were definitely women, that had said to me, when I felt confused on what do I do with my life now? What is the situation? This is my marriage. This is my parenting. This is, I want to work this out.
This is your whole life.
My whole life,
This
right?
is your whole life, your child,
And
your home.
you're so confused because you're like, okay, we just separated for a little bit, but I don't want to go through a divorce. This is what people don't realize, that nobody really wants to go through a divorce.
Yes.
We just don't want to. However, there were women that had said, if he isn't doing X, Y, and Z, why on earth are you letting him see your baby?
Okay. That is a standard position that not all women, but most women, I think on some level, or this is what I believe from what I've understood, on some maternal level or other, relationship breaks up, and I can only presume from a common sense level that they carried that child in their stomach, they gave birth to it, so they have an attachment and a bond different to a father. So there's an element of, this child came from within me, this child subconsciously belongs to me, this is my baby. So I think as soon as the relationship ends, you've rejected me and my baby, hence you won't get, relationship ends, she's mine, he's mine, we're out, sort of thing. Am I right in saying, is that how it works? How does it work? What is the psyche behind that thinking?
It's exactly that, actually. I have the upper hand because, yes, I gave birth to her, I carried her or him. I went through all of these struggles, so therefore I'm gonna let you know when you see your baby or not.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, I was that person for a bit. Then there were times where I said the same thing, like, I'm really angry at you right now, so no, you can't see her, because I knew that's what's gonna hurt him, because he's hurt me.
Yeah. Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Let's just take it out to a strip back to a basic understanding. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm angry at you. You're angry at me.
Yeah.
Right. We have a child. What's the best way I can get back at you? Is it just the basic primal level of, you've hurt me, effectively screw you? If I deny you access to my child, I know that's going to hurt you back. Is it just as simple as that?
Yep.
So I mean, I can understand that on some level when people are angry and upset. That I can understand on some level that might happen for, let's say, 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks, 2 weeks, 6 months. But like when brothers are being dragged through the court for years, 2, 3, 4, 5 years, they haven't seen that child. Surely at some point, someone might look at their own child and think, you know what? Yes, I'm angry at him. He has suffered. I'm hurting him. This is great. I still have leverage. I have the child, yeah? But this, I'm damaging. Surely there must be, with all the knowledge out there, there must be some understanding now that I am damaging my child in the process after, say, 2 years.
No. And the reason I say no really quickly is because sometimes we just don't think that, we don't think about the child. Do you know what I mean? We genuinely don't think about the child. We don't think about how they are affected. We don't think that their feelings should matter or will matter. We just think, this is the way that I can get this man back. And the other thing is we're too busy listening to other people tell us what to do.
All right, look, amongst men, yeah, there's a saying, right? I call it boys talk, yeah. They reckon, obviously, right? So a woman breaks up, or they say she's always got that best friend that's always giving her a certain, you know how it is, that gives her that bad advice. Or, like I said, breakups happen. And women, when they're talking, the school mums club, they stand there. They're indirectly, though, they're friends. Oh, my husband does this for me. He does. Oh, does your husband do that? There's always that little bit of competition. And
of course,
my husband, he loves me so much. Look what he does. All this sort of stuff, right? All this small talk, I'll call it, yeah. Now, in that process, when my mum says, "Oh, my husband don't do that for me," is it like it sort of eggs her on to, really, you should, if he ain't doing that, do this. Don't let him have this, or play these games. Oh yeah, what your mother-in-law said that to you. Don't do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
There's all. Can you give us some insight? Because this is how men see it. Are you willing to share some inside information?
It's exactly that, though. It's because, okay, so I'm picturing in my mind, everybody's come round, we're having tea or whatever it is, the kids are running around, and the moms are talking, and usually it starts off with family.
Mm-hmm.
It's usually the family and someone very close to you saying, look, do you remember when he did this, and he did this, and he did this? That's called abuse.
Okay, but we're talking about whilst a couple are together. So a couple are together.
It'll start off then. It'll start off small, like he said that, even though it could have been a regular husband and wife argument.
So just so we can picture it fully. So girls have got together, family, relatives, cousins. Girls are just chit chatting. So let me give a scenario. She says, "Oh, we had an argument the other day about what everyone talks." So girls start talking about some argument that one of them had the other day. So the other girls will ask, "Oh, what happened? This and what happened?" Oh, we argued about, I don't know, buying a new sofa, for example.
Yep.
I wanted this top-end leather $5,000 set. He said, no, let's get a cloth one. We disagreed on that. Are we talking that sort of thing?
Yeah.
And that is then, so carry on from that. Can that really be sort of constructed as, or be led to believe that that sort of thing is abuse?
Yeah, of course. Because it'll be the smaller things where she will say, yeah, but he has said we can't have the $5,000 set. But he always says things like that, and I never get my way. I always have to listen to what he says.
Right.
And then it's when the other person will say, but, it's your house as well. You should have a say in that. And, it's the small things that women say, the small comments, we all know them, right? Small little comments, remarks that get a woman thinking.
Right, okay.
It doesn't always have to be, well, that's abuse. It's the small little things, facial expressions. We notice everything when we're talking.
All right.
We notice facial expressions, what kind of language you use, who you looked at after you said something or whatever. All of these things, especially when someone is already not feeling good within themselves and they're not confident within their marriage.
Right. Okay, so look, there's a common sense element to it, yeah? Like, surely there must be some common sense element to it. You had an argument, the girl says, oh, he, did this and this, he raised his voice, we had an argument, I shouted at him, he swore at me, we walked away, didn't talk for 2 days and made up, right?
Yeah.
Is that not just part and parcel of being in a relationship? Surely there must be some common sense element, but where's this idea? Okay, let me put it this way, yeah? Where did this idea of abuse get into these conversations? Do you see what I'm saying? So, for example, talking to your girlfriends, she says she's had this argument, it's gone back and forth. maybe one of them said, "Yeah, he's a basket. I know. Maybe he's a bit. He raises his voice. You know, you guys are like that. You swear at each other. Then you make. Or someone says, "Yeah, listen, you guys argue all the time. 2 days later, you make up. Blah blah blah. What's the big deal? Move on." Where does the abuse element come into this?
Feminism. So what I mean by that is the feminist movement is that the woman should be equal to a man, and also that she should be able to say something and be heard,
Okay.
right? And so if she says that she wants a certain thing at home, she should be heard of that. It should be taken into consideration and done. But I also think over time that movement has grown to, you have to listen to everything the woman says to you. Otherwise, you're considered not a good person.
Okay, look, let me put it to you from just a normal average guy's perspective. Most men, I think, even in the Asian community, they do listen to their wives. They do take things into consideration. I mean, where's this idea come from that these men don't listen and don't take? And there's nothing wrong with that. I think most men do that. But you're never going to fully agree on 100% of things.
I think that's where the problem lies. Genuinely speaking, I think that's where the problem lies, is we're not understanding our roles as husband and wife. And the reason I say this is because in a lot of cases that I have seen, whether I'm personally dealing with them or not, it's the small things that have got them where, let's say, for example, the wife has asked the husband, can I go to a certain person's house? The husband doesn't like this individual, which he's entitled to. We
Yes.
don't all like each other. That's normal. But she has turned around and said, but he's stopping me from seeing someone.
Okay.
And it's small things like that that are just exaggerated over time, but it could have been a conversation.
Yeah, I agree. See, the thing is, it's not what was said, but it's the context it's put out in. So if they had a conversation, she says, "Look, I'm going to see so and so," and he says, "Look, I don't really like that person. I don't like you hanging about with him.
They're bad news.
He's giving me bad energy. I don't like that girl. She's always stirring. Every time you go there, you come out, we're having an argument. So, please don't go there, whatever." But when that conversation is passed on, "Yeah, I wanted to see so and so the other day, and he didn't let me." So you see,
Then the next girl.
No, but you see the context
Yeah.
it's sent in. When you say it like
Yeah.
that, it sounds it's horrible. It's a normal conversation.
Yeah. But then, say for example, I said that, right? Just exactly what you said. So my husband said that he doesn't like this individual. Then, depending on the individual, the other person will say, but that's a bit controlling, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but that's exactly it's how the information is then
It's
portrayed,
put to the other
to
person.
the next person, and the other person then comes back with another position of, like you said, controlling. Right, what we do, Aishah, we just go to a quick break. Obviously, I think we could delve a lot deeper, so we're going to a quick break and we'll dive back into this, yeah?
Of course.
Right, back in a minute. Right, we are back. Sister, we were getting into obviously the abuse allegations and all that sort of stuff, and how this ideology has come about amongst women that, okay, what I want to say is basically this ideology of victimhood, to say, if your man ain't doing this or this or this, if your man disagreed with you, if you had an argument the other day, again, my example is, you didn't let me choose a color of that wall. I wanted to paint it black. He said, no, let's go for magnolia. And that is coercive control. Coercive control can, in the family courts, mean absolutely anything, as we know. So tell me how this ideology has come into our women, sisters, or women in general. And is it only in the last 5 years, 10 years? When did this happen?
I would say, I mean, I think I'm too young to say that, but I would say in the last 20 years, but more pushed in the last 5 to 10 years, because we're also talking about abuse in schools now.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm flipping that.
Yeah. We talk about suicide, abuse, like consent. We talk about consent. It starts in school. In their education, so they all should know where to go for help. So in school, if things are happening at home with parents, parents are having less and less rights over their children as well. That plays a role in what we're talking about, because then parents have to think about, okay, how did they parent as well, and how can our children be safe? So because through the divorce, I think a lot of us struggle with communication amongst ourselves, and our children are getting affected, and yet we don't think about the children.
Okay, so let me go back to the abuse, right? Because obviously, look, there's many obviously genuine victims, so we're not talking about legit victims, yeah.
Yeah.
Now you've got some involvement in the idea of the family court, and you know the sort of allegations that are being made,
Yeah.
yeah. And again, we're talking about, like I said, so there's there's two or three scenarios that we can try and cover the whole range of this abuse. So there's legit victims. We're not talking about them. Forget them. There's those women that are angry, and once upon divorce and the breakup, they have realized that I can use this to get back at him because they didn't want to break up. Hence, they're going to use the kids to their leverage. And to do that, they have to create the abuse card because they're angry. Okay, you could sort of say they're doing it out of anger. Fine. Then there's those women that genuinely believe they are victims.
Yeah.
Again, going back to what you said, he's never agreed with me. We always argue. And this ideology of, again, let's look at this ideology of equality, like you said. So women want equality, women want to say, I get it, there's nothing wrong with that. But once I've entered the system, I've entered the family court system, I totally agree, it's not equal. It is completely unequal, and the power is fully leveraged to one gender, which happens to be the mum 90% of the time. So what more equality can we want? I don't understand. What equality is there that they're not getting? So let's put it another way. What equality are they not getting that is being pushed on them?
That's such a good question.
Even I'm confused.
And I know that, if I answer it really, it's different for everyone. By the way, a lot of women are gonna hate me here, but I'm just gonna say how it is. I think it is because we don't have that freedom like men do. So we have the extra responsibility of thinking, okay, I want to work, but I've got children, I've got this responsibility, But at the same time, we're sacrificing things that we've got to do at home for the sake of having careers and stuff like that, or more freedom, should I say. And this definitely comes through feminism because we're supposed to be equal in feminism, right? So let me give you a scenario here. If a man is asking his wife to have things ready at home once he goes out and works, that's difficult for women as well because they've never had to be in that position before.
Okay, so all right, so I'm gonna cut in, so I'm gonna try and keep up with you, yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's fine. Because if I don't cut in, I've got a short-term memory loss. I'll forget, yeah. So the ideology of equality, and shall we try and frame it within the Asian Muslim community? Because traditionally, women still go to work, but they're still expected, I presume, to run their house and be on top of that. So basically, the sisters are sort of thinking that, right, I want a career, I want to work, I want to be more than just a housewife. I've done a degree. The sisters who are dentists, doctors, and credit to them, not knocking them.
Of course.
So they're thinking, look, I have to do a full shift at say sister's a nurse, and she goes, right, I've got to do a full shift at the nursing home or the hospital, but I've got the added responsibility of going home, making sure the food is there for my, let's say they don't even have kids, for my husband. I have to ensure food is there for, I have to ensure the house is tidy and still maintain the home. So is the argument, well, if he's working and I'm working, why is the home duties only on me? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So so everything should be
50-50.
Pretty much. However,
okay.
There's a big however here. There's going to be some people that hate me, and I'm okay with that. I think, and I still see that women are still not happy with that. Some women, because
they still want happy with doing the work and the domestics 50-50.
No, yeah, with that, because they still want to have careers, be out and about doing whatever they're doing, and coming home and looking after the house is difficult. Now, if you have someone that is willing to do 50-50, that's great. But
as in a husband.
Yeah.
Right.
Post children is where it gets difficult.
Right, okay, go on.
Because even with childcare,
it's a different beast.
So that's another thing. I think it's fine when you're down here where no children, half and half. That's easy, really.
Okay.
But when it gets to the children, that's more difficult. And I think
okay, yeah, Karen.
Also, it's not only about the physical stuff like getting the house done and all that, it's the emotional side. Because the one thing I'm hearing all the time is I'm working, he's working, we're doing whatever we got to do, but he's just not there for me. And I'm having to go outside of the house and speak about things that are concerning me because he don't get it.
Okay, I'm just trying to digest this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because okay, let me try and digest this a little bit, yeah, from a different angle, yeah. Now, on at face value, that to say, okay, we're both working now. Times have changed. We are both working. Why should I do the cooking and cleaning? It's okay. Why should I do the cooking and cleaning? That should be 50-50. Traditionally, we come from a culture where, and all to be fair, even other communities came from this culture where
Mm-hmm.
the women maintained the home and they how can I put it? They were house proud. So, for example, before this interview
Yes.
happened, my
Yes.
sisters come along with the spray. No, women notice everything. Let me clean up this. I'm like, really? Like, what the hell? So, my point is, there was an element of women were house proud. They're happy to maintain the home. And traditionally, I mean, maybe I'm showing my age as well. I understood it as women, like some women enjoyed feeding their husband. They like
Yeah.
prepping food. Oh, what did you think of that? Did you like it? There was that sort of pride in looking after your man. The word is this, and this was cross cultures community. There's a pride in looking after your man. But now, okay, when we frame this argument, like now, even I'm feeling awkward saying that. Okay, what's wrong with my woman cooking for me? Like, why shouldn't I feel awkward? I feel a little bit awkward even saying that. Okay, that might sound a bit backwards. I'm made to feel like that now. I'm thinking,
Yeah,
yeah.
you're made to feel like that
But
though.
from our so if I now bring it back to say our community, so all communities did that. Let's say our community is still sort of borderline, I presume, still doing it in most homes. I think, yeah. Are we going in that direction where brothers have to say from the Muslim community, from the South Asian community, say, right, if we're both working professionals, I have to chip in 50-50 at home because of the time and era we're living in. And if you think otherwise, are you outdated slightly? I mean, I don't know how to tackle
Slightly
this.
though, for a woman's perspective, yes. Like if I still see a lot of women say to other women, so there's judgment amongst women. Oh, you should be working now. Why are you sitting at home? Why is your man bringing all the money in? You know, you're a housekeeper. What's the? But then there's a flip side of you have kids now. You know, you should be looking after. There's no winning, is what I'm saying here. And I know that
Basically,
doesn't answer your
yeah,
question.
no, I get it. So basically, okay, so if it's just women talk, yeah,
Mm,
whatever a woman says that I'm doing this, there'll be another woman potentially nearby saying, well, why
that's
aren't you doing
rubbish.
that? Why you should be doing this? If a woman's like, why are you working? You should be the breadwinner. When she's doing the breadwinner, what are you doing? You should be at home looking after the
Yeah, yeah.
kids. Oh, why are you doing the nappies? He should be doing the nappies and stuff like this. Okay, look, if I was to say to you as a traditional, well, now I feel like an old man, yeah. I feel like an old man saying this, right? Let's say, for argument's sake, I was to get married now, yeah. I've I don't know how to cook. It was a good. I agree. It is definitely a good skill to have because I love eating. So if I could really cook, it's definitely a good skill to have. But
Yeah.
traditionally, from a male perspective, I can, and it's not even a Muslim or an Asian, a male perspective, I can, I could tell you that a man comes home and gets not pampered, but Mrs. says, "What do you fancy? This, that," and she's made an effort. And then, the old saying, "The way to a
Yeah.
man's heart is through his stomach."
Yeah.
Would I be wrong in still expecting that?
No. It
No,
might.
I expect my woman to look after me like that a little. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, if you can look after her, then she should be able to look after you as well. I think, do you know what it is?
Okay,
And
hold on.
this,
Before any go, so what is okay in your view then? Yeah, what is your view of what does it look like? A man looking after his woman now. What does that look like then?
honestly, it's the smaller things. So we all expect man to go out to provide for us.
Right.
Give me a house,
Okay. Given.
right? So a house, and I don't have to worry about the bills.
So house and stability and
All of
that
the
sort of
all
thing.
of the regular stuff. So we know what that means.
Mm-hmm.
But on top of that, I would really expect you to genuinely check in me, to check in with me, like
Okay. So
how am I doing?
I'll say this then, right? Because the problem is there's many angles this can go. If you have natural chemistry, so let's put it this way now. This may affect generally the Asian community in a certain degree. If you're a couple who are happy, you get along, you got chemistry, and you
Mm,
chat, that happens automatically, then, isn't it?
yes.
And this is what I think the problem is. When we get married under, because like I said, within the community, you could get married under various circumstances, and I personally believe you could either get it right, get it wrong. It could be that you have some spot that you can make bigger and get
Yeah.
better. It may be that you're just completely different people. or maybe you just rub each other up the wrong way. Hence, then you're putting patches around a situation. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
So, what if you're both on the same page in the sense that you've got chemistry, you bounce off each other, that happens naturally, then doesn't that check-in? What did you do today? How was your day? What about this? It's not hard work. You don't have to try and make a conversation. It's just a natural flow. You don't have to check in. You naturally check in because you just chit-chat because you've got chemistry. Do you see where I'm coming from?
Yes, I do.
So
Yes,
do you
I
think
do.
the issue is not that he's not checking in, it's just that maybe they're not the perfect fit, so they have to work a little bit harder to make it work?
Yes, and also it's definitely that they have to put that extra work in both sides. So remember at the beginning we said this is not a male or a woman thing.
Yes, no,
This is
100%.
both sides
Chemistry is
coming
both ways,
together.
yes.
The one thing that both of us I think can agree on, people are missing, is communication. Is communication. If you're upset that he didn't do something or whatever, you need to tell him. And the other way around, if she didn't do a particular thing or you didn't like what she said or whatever it was, you need to be honest and tell her. But there's ways of telling each other. So sit down amongst yourself and really discuss it, because you're two adults in a situation. And I think a lot of problems that I have to deal with on a daily basis can be handled through better communication, hands down.
Okay, let me throw another scenario at you then, yeah? Because
Yeah.
obviously time is short, we've got a lot to cover, yeah? And this is what I know this is going on in many cases, and just like I said, I'm not an expert in anything, but I've got life experience, yeah?
Yeah.
Now, a lot of sisters get married various ages, ranging from 20 to into their 30s. Unfortunately, what I found is, so once you, okay, the magnitude of that relationship, you got married, you're with someone, this is meant to be your life partner, you're going to have children with him, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Sisters, within the first few weeks of marriage and throughout their marriage, they go back to them, when they go back to see their mums and whatnot, unfortunately, they start bashing their husband. Now, what I've said is, and a lot of sisters like, I tell my mum everything, she's my best friend. Yes, your mum might be your best friend, but you're not your mum's best. To your mum, you're just a daughter. You're her
Yep.
daughter. So mum thinks, hold on, he's not treating him right. And I've
Yeah.
said, when you start bashing your husband and your in-laws and your extended family, you have now brought problems into your own. You have invited problems. Am I right in saying this?
Yes, 100,000%. That doesn't make sense, but it's really.
Thank you.
I honestly, and I know this personally, by the way,
Yes.
because my ex-husband once pulled me up on it. He once pulled me up on it, and I was deeply offended.
Right. So okay,
I was deeply offended,
yes.
and I was like, "What did you say to me?" He's like, "Look, Aisha, I respect you a lot, but let's communicate." And I had to be told. And I'm not gonna lie, at that particular moment, I was like really proud in my heart, like how come you said that to me? But I had to really bite my tongue.
So he basically said to you, like, about you telling your mum stuff about your relationship.
Yeah, certain things which
Or you having a moan about him, sort of thing.
Something like that,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think I don't remember how it came up in the conversation, and he had to just say, look, sometimes we should keep our families out of this.
Yeah, you keep it between yourself.
Yeah.
This is where I find a lot of sisters, unfortunately, lack the maturity to understand the magnitude of that relationship. That as soon as you involve your mum or dad, or and I'm talking about petty moaning, even if it's petty moans, their mum and dad's radar kicks in. My little princess is not being treated right, and I think this princess syndrome kicks in. I've named it princess syndrome, yeah. And that is introduced, and this is what I'm saying. You can't come home. So let's say you're in an argument. You go home, you moan to your mum and dad about these petty moans, and he doesn't do this and that, X, Y, and Z. And by Monday, you come back home and you're playing happy families again. Mum and dad still got that image, ain't
they have.
And then son-in-law goes round for tea, and they're going, "Oh, here's your tea, son." And then they're having little digs at him. And this is what people don't realize: those little digs, that disrespect will manifest. Yeah?
Yes, it does.
So in-laws need to be sensible, especially with a man. I'll tell you now. These little digs and disrespect will manifest over time, and it'll only contribute to damaging that marriage. And so that's the scenario that I've seen a lot of, yeah. And what I don't understand is, surely when sisters are getting married, something like that should it be taught, explained? Surely there's something you just know as you grow up.
No, it's not something that you know, definitely not. Because you're so used to coming home and telling your mum this happened at school, or this happened at college, or this happened at uni, or this happened at work. And it's not a big deal that you tell them what's going on at
So you
home.
just, after you get married, you just carry on telling
It's
them
just,
like you used
yeah,
to.
it just
So
carries on. And I'll tell you something as a parent. So I'm a parent as well.
yes,
I am a mom first, then I'm a friend. And your
yes.
mom is probably the same thing. So you think
She's your
that
best
she's
friend.
your best
She
friend
ain't your best
only.
friend. She's your mum.
She's your mum. So when you tell her that something happened, whatever that is,
She's a mum
she's a
first.
mum first.
Gotcha. Exactly.
And
That's
even with your fathers as well, just let
a
you,
dad
just to
first.
remind people that that mom instinct or the parent instinct, it just comes, and there's nothing we can do about that. So please be mindful of that. And I do think that we should have a better communication skill. And as parents, if you're watching, you've got children out there, teach them to keep their marriages within themselves. However, obviously, we're not talking about really abusive situations. That's different. But on a general note, go to your husbands or wives first. Have this discussion.
Keep it between you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like literally. One thing I will always say is when you're feeling some type of way, tell your spouse. So let's say we're a bit angry, and I'm angry. I have always voiced that I am angry right now. Can we come back in 5 minutes? Or I am so upset right now, or I'm disappointed. And I taught my girl this as well. So teach your kids it as well, to voice what they're feeling. So then you have the other person knows what you're feeling. They've got no way of saying, I didn't know how you felt. That's one thing I came in communication. I would always say, I'm angry right now, so I can't speak about it or something, whatever it is. And it's something that helped me in navigating all arguments and anything that ever happened, just voicing how I felt, because I understood right there and then I feel this type of way as well. So probably now is not the best time to promise something, let's say, or say something, because this is how I feel. But I do think communication is definitely should be within your marriages first.
Should be private.
Definitely private. No text messages to other people, no phone calls, no going to see whoever to speak about it. The first thing you should do is go speak to your husband or go speak to your wife first.
Sisters, that's great advice. Let's go to a quick break and we'll do one more final segment. Obviously, time is
Yeah, of
short.
course.
Right, we are back. All right, sister, we were talking about sisters from the community looking at their mum as their best friends after marriage, still going to their mum. And as you've explained now, it makes sense. So, like you said, sisters grow up, come home from school, tell their mum what happened during the day. They have that bond. They go college, tell mum what happened, university. And there's a natural progression that when they get married, next stage of their life, they still go back to their mum, telling them the ins and outs of what might have happened at their marital home or with their husband. So now I can understand why they think mum's best friend and they do that. But obviously, as you mentioned, once you get married, do not involve your parents into the nitty gritty and the little moans and groans about your husband, because that will just bring problems into your marriage. So that's number one, yeah? The other thing I wanted to talk about, sister, and what I've come across for many brothers, right, is, what was it? Yeah, sorry, lost my moment. That sisters, yeah. So sisters are like, okay, I love my husband. He's my whole world. I'll do everything for him. So I'll go as far as saying, you know, all the cooking, cleaning, work, they're happy to do all of it.
Yeah.
They enjoy that little thing, and it's my kitchen, and I've made this for him, and did you like this? And they'll sit together, have breakfast. They love all that stuff, yeah? Nothing wrong with that. But there's an element of, they're very cold to the extended family. And I've noticed this, like the controlling element around the kids. The kids spend time with any relatives around the father's side, and they want that sort of distance. Even sisters that have moved out, they've got their own family unit, their own home.
Yeah.
There's a very cold approach to the husband's family, and I'll give you an example. So, and this is how I've sort of articulated it before, and this is how I've explained it to sisters before, that you can say you love your husband, you'll do all of this, none of this feminist other issues, they don't exist, yeah, in their relation. They're happy to do all of these and play all of these roles, but in the same sentence, they're like, but they're not saying it directly, but through their behavior, I don't want nothing to do with my family. I don't want nothing to do with your mum and dad. So I love you to bits. You're my whole world. You're my soulmate. We're gonna, we're Bollywood together and all of that.
Yeah.
But how can you? And this is what I've said. You can't say that in the same sentence as I don't want nothing to do with your mum and dad or brother and sister. Or our kids won't play with your brother's kids. All this petty stupidness. Have you experienced that or come across that? And give us some insight into that if you've come across it or know anything about it, please.
Yes, I definitely have, and I think it's more prevalent amongst the youngsters that are getting married. Youngsters to us, anyway.
Yes, youngsters. Yes. So she said us youngsters, and she included me in there. I just want to clarify. Thank you. I like you, sister. Yes, carry on.
I definitely do think and I think we kind of try and twist and turn the rulings, Islamic rulings. Okay, so yes, I don't have a duty towards my not ex-family, in-laws. Like, I don't have to do these things. But imagine the reward of doing that. Imagine the reward of giving that drink to them, or cooking a dinner for them once a week, or going to see them on Eid with your husband.
Okay, sister, can I just touch on that? Yeah, but before we do go even into that aspect of it, yeah, when you got married, marriage is a union of two families coming together, two clans, two bloodlines, however you want to put it. And we're talking across the whole world. As a human species, it's a union of two families. So whatever happens, you're going to have in-laws relationships. You're going to have a brother-in-law, sister-in-law, father-in-law, mother-in-law on both sides, yeah? Both sides. Now, as adults, sensible adults, at some point in your life, you're not going to always get along. You fall out, just like you do with your own brother and sister, mum and dad. You have an argument, you fall out, but doesn't mean you start hating on them and I'm not doing that for them because my dad told me. We don't do that. But when it's in-laws, there seems to be this chip on the shoulder, as in we have to, we have to take the position to say, sisters, imagine the sawab you get if you give your mother-in-law a glass of water. Why do we even need to say that? Would you not give an old woman some water? Do you see what I'm saying? What's the big issue around it?
I think, do you know what it is? The one thing I'm hearing a lot is we're always too busy thinking about ourselves. Like, what is my husband doing for me? What is my in-laws doing for me? What am I getting out of this marriage? Instead of thinking, what am I giving in the marriage? Does that make sense?
Okay, it makes sense, but let me tackle this a different way, yeah? Okay, let's put it a different way. Let's take it to the fact that you're living with your husband and his family in his family. So you've got married, you're both young, come out of university, he's got a bit of debt, hence you're both working.
Yeah.
You're living at his mum and dad's house because you're saving money, and so you can buy your own place eventually, but you're living in a house share situation. Now, my argument is, so before we go to the Islamic position and all the arguments and whatnot, if you lived in any house share with any couple, any friend, anyone else, you'd have to chip in with cooking and cleaning. It would be an understandable position, yes or no, yeah? So when you move in with your husband into his family, they've come in with this, and look, I'm not saying they should be slaving over the kitchen like, oh, mum's word, that was the culture of the day. I'm not knocking it, but that was how it was done on the day, and that's what it was, and it's worked because we are here today. We've built a community, yeah?
Yeah.
So times have changed, I get it. But this aggressive attitude, when straight we say, that sisters quote straight away certain muftis and say, Islamically, I don't have any duty to your husband, dad, blah, 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 not your husband, sorry. I don't have any duty to your mum, dad, brother, sister, X, Y, and Z. Now, though that sounds right, that Islamically you could argue that is correct, but does someone that comes across like, to me, is unattractive straight away.
Yeah.
For me, look, I'll say it, so people, I've made comments before on videos before where people are, it's a bit of an extreme position to have, yeah? Personally, for me, I'll tell you that that's the beginning of the end, yeah? When you got someone's backup like that. For me, personally, once you come in with the attitude, if you deliver that message slightly differently, maybe it wouldn't be so harsh and aggressive. But with this chip on the shoulder, nope, it's not my duty. I'm not doing it. My duty is only to you as your husband. So I will do this. I'm not going to do not an ounce of,
more than that, yeah.
So I don't. And if you live in the house share accommodation anywhere else, you'd have to still chip in and do these things. So why is there this? And this is what I'm getting, this real negative, aggressive position that they're fighting for. Am I right in saying that? Or
I agree, 1,000,000,000%. Like, although you might be right, yeah, you don't have to do it. However,
but how
think
do we
about
get
the
here?
broad.
How's this happened? Like, why is that? You can have that position, but it's aggressively being pushed? Why?
I think two things. Just as I said there, rights and responsibilities. We want everything to be about ourselves
Okay.
and think about what we get out of the situation, how comfortable we're going to be. And with that, also coming up in the newer generation, the younger generation, excuse me,
Mm-hmm.
when there's a sort of a struggle in some way, they don't have that resistance anymore. They don't want to go through that struggle anymore. Like, let's say arguments, relationships, arguments in relationships, or a bad patch in a marriage, or whatever it is. But the other thing is, like, wanting to be right in all situations. I don't want to live in this type of situation temporary because it's going to cause XYZ. And hearing from all the generations that this is what's happening to me, this is what what happened to me as a daughter-in-law. I had X, Y, and Z responsibilities and nobody else did anything.
Yes,
Certainly as a
just
child,
yeah.
I heard that.
Uh-huh.
I heard that as a woman.
Second generational trauma.
Yeah,
So you pick this trauma, and this is what I've said. There's a
yeah,
lot of this is the pattern that I found. So that first generation, mums that used to have to run the home and work and X, Y, and Z, family units, extended families lived together. It wasn't easy. I get it. Men went out, worked, money was still tight. They're trying to build a
yeah.
foundation. So people struggled. Now, where people, and obviously sometimes between husband and wife, there were arguments about money, this and that, money's tight.
No,
Yeah, it
yeah,
happens,
yeah.
it's life, they struggle. But those couples are still together, 40, 50 years, those golden days,
Alhamdulillah.
golden marriages, yeah? So where I think sisters have seen this trauma, I mean, these arguments, and like I said, 40, 50 years, it was, like I said, it was normal to argue in front of a child. It's
Yeah,
only after normal studies, cross-culture community, they've said, after a lot of education around it now, they said it's not healthy to argue in front of a child, so now they encourage couples not to do that. So
yeah,
time has moved on, it was normal for that day. So I think there's a lot of sisters who are coming into marriage with this second generational trauma, and I call it the Stockholm syndrome. So they've come in with this thing that if I don't stamp my authority now, if I don't grab this position and space now,
yeah,
I will end up working or being a slave. Okay, that's fine. You can have that as a defensive position. But when you've come in without actually getting to know the in-laws and the extended family, and you try and assert that dominance and authority because you're scared that, guess what, if I don't do it now, I'm gonna end up doing this or this or this. And let me set that now aggressively, and that just gets everyone else's back up and think, what's going on? And unfortunately, I think that might even get the husband's back up and saying, why am I facing this resistance here aggressively? Before, and nothing's actually happened before she's made one dish. Like,
yeah.
this is aggression is
It's a lot.
is being pushed on, and that automatically, I think, straight away has put a downer on that marriage.
I agree. I think to that, I want to say to everyone here, please consider pre-marriage counseling. And if you're married, if you can be in that position where no separation right now, get counseling done, because he gets to say what he wants to say, she gets to say what she wants to
Okay,
say.
what is pre-marriage counseling? So explain to me.
Okay, so say
I've
for
never heard that
example,
term.
I'm really interested in someone, or they've approached me,
Right.
right? I would ask him, like, are you okay with pre-marriage counseling? Let's just say he says yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We're going in to see the therapist. She's going to ask us things like, do you want children? What would
Right.
the upbringing be like? Are you going to be working? And then we'll both discuss that. Do you want the wife to work? Is the husband working?
Okay.
So all the questions that you should ask before you get married. You're going to have that third party there to monitor what each person says, and they both have the chance to say, this is what I want, this is what I need, this is the type of person I am, these are my life goals.
Okay, let's put another way then. Yeah, I understand that, and
Mm-hmm.
that's not a bad concept. So talk openly about who you are and what you want. Yeah, but as you know, in the especially the South Asian community, marriages are done all very awkwardly, and people are not straight up. People cover up for their own. We don't believe in mental health. We just cover it up and try and think shadi ho jaye, get married, everything will be okay. Our problem's
Just gonna
done.
figure it out himself.
Let's be honest there. And when these conversations are meant to happen, everyone smiles and sort of polite, and the job is just to get it over the line. And both parties sort of think, yeah, my daughter or son, I've done our bit. We've got them
Then
married.
you're just like, gone.
We can retire.
Leave them to it.
Yeah, we can retire, done, right? Yeah, and no one openly says these things. That, guess what? Okay, so let's say, look, I've gone to see some sister. Yeah.
Yeah.
She likes me, I like her. I might think, okay, this is all right. We can maybe perhaps make this work. We have a few meetings. at that point, do we say, okay, listen, we can talk about accommodation. So say, okay, look, I'm gonna live. I mean, and to be fair, look, up north now, especially amongst Gujarati community, sisters openly saying we want house, car, salary up front.
Yeah,
They don't
they
wait
do.
till divorce. They want it before.
Yeah.
They want it up front.
I hear it all the time
Yeah.
of women saying you should ask for X amount of mahar and all of this stuff. I'm like,
Yeah, but it's
whoa.
become a game. But okay, look, that's the gender wars playing out. Women know they have the leverage. They seem to have the upper hand. Hence, there's a lot of demands, and there's a lot of brothers conceding to these things, feeding into this ideology. Yeah, but we won't go into that right now. Yeah, for example, but let's say the sensible couple, sensible family. He says, look, until I save up or we work together, we'll buy a house, but we need to live with my parents, and it'd be a good chance for you to get to know my family. Traditionally, the girl is given away, goes into, takes the husband's second name, and whatnot. A child will carry the husband's name, family name. So she goes into the husband's household, yeah. So before all of that, they're talking and meeting and chatting. Do you think they should have a conversation at that point to say, right, listen, what is your beliefs on that chipping in the family unit? Right, apologies, technical issues. Right. So, sister, we were saying, couple like each other, they meet, they want to get together. But you're saying before they progress, they have a pre-marriage meeting with a third person. Now I'm saying before they get to the third person, do you think they could have this talk amongst themselves where he says, look, I'm not from this modern era. In my house, women do the cooking, cleaning, this and that. If you want to work on top of that, that's up to you as well. We don't even do that. And the system in the head might be thinking, well, forget cooking for the rest of your family. Even cooking for you, I'll only do 50% because I expect you to chip me 50%.
Yeah.
Now, both of them will hide and mask these things because they don't want the marriage to break because they like each other on some level.
Yeah.
So what are they to do? And because if it comes out, this is what I think. Look, if you've got chemistry with someone, this is what I believe. If you meet someone and you have natural chemistry and you genuinely like them, you're prepared to do a little bit more for that person than you would another. So I believe if you have chemistry, personally, I think all of these problems sort of just disappear. They don't exist because you have that natural chemistry. So if you have a little bit of chemistry, because when you start going for a checklist, I just don't think it always works. Like,
no, it definitely has to be a conversation, doesn't it?
But it still has
and
to
a
be
few conversations instead of just saying, okay, check. Can I have my own house? Okay, check. Next thing, check. Can't do that. That's intimidating.
Okay, but so for example, if a boy girl meet, can the boy ask and say, what is your stance on cooking and cleaning and domestic? Should he openly ask that up front, straight?
I think that I would expect a little introduction.
No, sorry, yeah.
This is in our family, this is what we do. And I do think that's the way I would like my wife to be.
Okay, very well.
Is that something that you're on board with? And I think for both men and women, put your cards on the table.
Slow down, sister. Let me take note for myself.
Literally do it. Do you know why? Because you don't want to live with that regret later. And if it comes up, so for example, you didn't ask that question, you knew that you should have, you can only blame yourself.
Okay, so look, let me put another scenario to you then. Sister sees a brother, yeah? She likes the brother more than the brother likes the sister, yeah? So the guy, let's not use brother, sister, it's a bad analogy. Guy sees girl, guy and girl. The girl likes the guy more than the guy likes the girl. So the guy likes her, but the girl's thinking, nah, I want him. Yeah. I like him. He's 6 foot. He's got muscles. He's in shape. A bit like me, I suppose. Right? And she thinks, I want this man, right? And then the brother's thinking, I think I could make this work. She's all right, but he's a bit unsure. Now, are you telling me a sister at that stage is going to say to him, but guess what? I believe in 50-50 cooking, 50-50 childcare, 50-50 domestics, X, Y, and Z, and he's saying, yeah, guess what? My family, they do all of this, but she might be thinking, well, I don't want to say this because this is going to be, we're going to lose, I'll lose this, and I want this guy. Let me just get my foot in the door, and I can deal with these issues after, once I'm in,
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? So my point is, are people genuinely going to be bluntly honest at that stage?
They need to be, because at the end of the day, you're lying to yourself.
True.
You are lying to yourselves. But before that, I would say for both men and women, you really need to work on yourself, because that is a sign of low self-esteem, self-confidence, because you don't know what you want. You're just like a yes person.
Yeah, I see what you mean, yeah.
Because men do it as well, don't they?
100%.
Like, you know, yes, I can give you a house, yes, I can give you this, yes, I can give you this, when deep down they know, right now, I actually can't do that. And then women do the same thing, like, yes, I'll do this, yes, I'll do this, I'll stop my work or whatever, or I'll work and contribute, whatever it is, when they don't really want to do that. And that manifests, as you said it earlier, actually, it manifests as things that are much deeper. And then you start resenting the other person. And that's where the comments come in.
Okay, okay. Let's take the conversation in a slightly different direction. As time is short, so I want to try and cram as much in as possible. So I'll be jumping everywhere. Yeah. Do you think there's a lot of expectation from? Okay, tell me what you think the expectation from men is this day and age to in from marriage, in finding a man, the expectation from him to be able to potentially, find a man. What is expected of him as a husband, a father? Do you think there's too much expected from a man, or not, or too little, or do you think there's too much expected from a woman, or too little, or where do you see all of this now? Just a random. I'm just putting it
My
out there.
God, you put me on the spot here.
It's all right. It's all right. Take your time. I mean, if you genuinely think, for example, yes, I think too much is expected of men. So they go to see a girl, with these days, there's no excuse. They have to be in some sort of reasonable shape. They have to be earning good money, for example. Like I said, okay, we've both agreed that up north, especially from Gujarati community, I can tell you, sisters up front are demanding houses, cars, salaries up front. Yeah.
That's happening everywhere, I'll tell you.
So would you then say, for example, like that? Do you think there's a lot of pressure on young men to come up with all of this?
Yes.
So the way I'm saying is, look, if a guy's in his 20s, he's become a doctor, he's gone to university, he's done a degree, he's very educated, he's got some fire in his belly, he's gonna make something of himself, but he's just come out of uni, he's in debt.
Yeah.
He ain't got his own house. He's got brains, he's got work ethic, he's got fire in his belly, he's got iman, he prays namaz, he's a good lad. But he can't bring a house, a car, and a salary right now.
Yeah.
So, do you think there's too much expectation?
Yeah, I definitely think there is. You know, I've heard of cases of women demanding, women's families demanding, actually, not only just women. And I mean demanding because in these particular cases, they are demanding up to like 10, 15, 20, 50K
For what?
for the meher to get married. And I'm like, hold on, £50,000 is almost one guy's whole year salary.
Really? Is that what's going on?
Do you know? Yeah. And I was genuinely shocked by this because I was like, okay, the meher is not there as like
It's a business. It's become a business.
Yeah. And technically, if we look under, it is a transaction. However, it shouldn't be about the money. It's not the money that's security at the end of the day, because the risk is from God. What it needs to be is that I'm giving you this, and in exchange, I'm giving you this in a marriage. But that's just too much.
Yeah, but this is ridiculous. Look, I know in the Bangladeshi community, because I speak to a lot of Bangladeshi brothers, they have the meher, right? The meher might be so look, the meher could be, for argument's sake, as we jump onto this now, it could be 100, 500, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000,
Yeah.
5,000, whatever you agree on. Personally, I'm not a big believer in that. It should be, I think, well under 1,000 tops, yeah? Is the meher, right? But then in Bangladeshi communities, there's the meher and there's additional gold that the guy has to give.
Oh, in Pakistani community, sometimes we have that actually.
This is prevalent in the Bangladeshi community. I have a lot of Bengali brothers reaching out to me, and they have a specific thing. So the meher is the one thing, and the gold is separate. And we're talking, they said, no, you have to give 5,000, 7,000 worth of gold on top of the meher, which could be 2,000, 3,000. What you've told me about the meher, the 20, 30, 40, 50 bags, that's
Probably
a new
all of
one.
that.
I've never heard that.
No,
Flipping it,
yeah.
I
Or
can
3 months salary of his.
Okay, do you know where this has come about from?
No, I personally, I'm going to go back to feminism of me knowing my worth, but you can never put money on your worth.
Okay, so what if a sister, in your experience, let's say, do you know of a sister who's met a guy, good looking, handsome, all of that, she likes him, wants to marry him, but then the family come out with, all right, you need to provide these ridiculous amounts of meher, yeah? And that girl says, well, actually, the girl wants to marry him, but the family come out with, how is that going to happen? But he's a good guy. He's got work ethic. He's got fire in his belly. He'll make something of himself. He needs time, but he can't produce that sort of money right now in order to get married. What are they to do?
Yeah, actually, it was actually a brother who told me about it. It was actually a brother who told me about it. And he said, I really like this woman. She was really nice. The family was so nice. We went with my family and they asked me for 50K.
Mate,
And he
I'm
goes, I
shocked.
didn't know how to respond to it because and this guy he actually he's a good earner, mashallah, and he has his own house and everything, which is great. And he said, I didn't know how to respond because I didn't want to disrespect her,
Yeah,
but to me it felt like the family was selling her.
it is. That's I didn't want to say that, but there's
But I
almost
said
like it almost feels
um,
like do you know what I mean? I just think it's wrong. I'm sorry
I think
personally.
I understand that a woman wants to be secure. I think where they come with it is if anything was to go wrong, I hope God doesn't ever do that, but anything's to go wrong, she has that money for her security.
And if anything else, she's got the whole house, she's got the keys, she's got everything by the protection of the law, protection of the government, of all
That's
things.
it.
So they've got that, and this is what I'm saying. And this is where the situation is happening in a lot of communities. Brothers are told, provide, protect. So they provide house, they provide money, they finance it, they pay for 10 years, everything. Sisters are working, they're pocketing their money. 10 years later, and let's say they've got this 40, 50 grand meher as well. 10 years later, sister says, right, because women are initiating divorce cross communities, cultures, everywhere, yeah? Including our community. Sister says, right, I can do better. I want a divorce. She divorces him. And this pattern is in order to secure the best possible position. If you are to claim the abuse card, you can secure the children, the house, all the finances, everything is paid for 10 years and pocket what you've had over your lifetime, like what you've earned. And that is what we're seeing now in the community. That is what is playing out with a lot of brothers, this same situation.
That they've put
And
the effort in,
yeah,
but then at the end of it, they don't have anything to show for
no,
it.
but they okay. So if you take the Islamic position, a man is to provide, 100%,
Yeah,
no
yeah, yeah,
problem.
yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah,
and these sisters are working professionals, right? So
yeah,
sisters are working, they're earning good money. But
yeah.
I know cases so extreme where the girl's gone out, or this wife has gone out, bought a couple of coffees, going right, you owe me £4 because it's your duty to provide. Like every
Oh,
tallying down to the pound. He's like, listen, you bought me a coffee. What's the big deal? Like you earn 80, 100K, though. You know what I mean? But he's like, fine. So over 10 years, he's paid for everything, provided everything under the rule of, the religious angle that, yes, the man provides, yeah? So they have gone along with all of that and they've done their duty as a man, right?
yeah.
Then in 10 years later, 5 years later, when the sisters decide, look, I can do better, she wants to initiate divorce. When she initiates divorce, she gets the government involved in the divorce, right? Yeah, the family courts.
Yeah.
And in Islamically, she's not entitled to any of his stuff. She's not entitled to Islamically the home and everything he's provided for. Yeah. Now, what the sisters are doing, they've pocketed their money that they've been, because these are working sisters. Yeah, they've pocketed their money over this 10 years. Marriage ends. They've gone to the family court. We know the law is very in favor of the sisters. They managed to secure the home, 80% of the
Everything.
finances, children, everything, along with the money they pocketed by working and keeping over the 10 years by pushing the Islamic angle. That is what is playing out in the courts and the community and a lot of brothers that we speak to. That is how it's, because it's financially rewarding to go with the Islamic angle at the start and at the end. It's a
Yeah.
win-win. So
I
how is a father or a brother or a husband, what advice would you give to your brother who was in this situation or getting married now?
premarital,
Freed up.
honestly, premarital counseling. You know what? I'll come with you if need be. I'm dragging you there, and I think the reason why is because I'm able to see then where each person's mindset is at. Because sometimes you think you're ready for marriage and you're not.
Yes.
And that person that you're going to go see, whether it is in the masjid or not, whoever it is, are able to see that actually, you know what, you need a bit more time, work on this a bit. For both men and women, this is because sometimes we think we're ready and we're not, or that you're just not compatible, you have different goals.
Okay, fair enough.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Right.
if it was my brother though, I think I would definitely say, like, take your time, ask her the questions, don't be shy about asking the questions as well, and to listen to her as well. So, and this is, I'm saying even the other way around as well, listen to what the person is actually saying, because you can't change a person.
Yes, 100%.
You can't change a person.
You can't.
If they don't want kids today, don't expect them to want kids tomorrow. If they can only earn, I don't know, let's say 30K today, don't expect them to be on 60K tomorrow. Do you know what I mean? Like, take it for what it is then. If you have a growth, that's amazing. That's a plus, that's a bonus, right? But take what they say right now. If you're not praying, say, look, I'm not praying right now, or you know what, I don't have a beard, or I don't wear this, or whatever it is, or I have children. Don't ever shy away from saying that I've been divorced before, or I have children and I don't see them right now, or whatever. Tell them what's the worst that's going to happen. The person says no.
No, perfect. Sister, very good. Right, sister, time is obviously very short. We need to get going. What is your final message that you want to put out there to men and women from your knowledge and experience on the line of work and what you anything just to help the community, all communities, all marriages, anything you want, just put out there, please.
Oh, actually, a lot of things I want to say, and I could go on for hours. But the one thing I would say is work on you first, what you want from life, what your values are. And if you want a specific thing in your spouse, ask yourself first, do I have these qualities? If I want a woman or a husband who is religious, am I that religious for myself? Do I have that religiosity? You know, if I want a woman who is kind and caring, am I kind and caring? And honestly, and I had to do this as well, and I still continue to do that because it opens your eyes to who you really are. And if you can admit it to yourself, that is one of the hardest things you'll ever have to do, is admit your own faults to yourself. But I also want to say, for both men and women who have been married or you're in the court processes now, look back and think, what did I learn from this? What am I learning right now? How can I take those good lessons and live my life right now? How am I living right now as opposed to in the past? Because so many of us get stuck in the good memories of the past or the bad memories if things come up. But we forget to live today.
Yes.
We forget to live today.
Live in the moment.
We're waiting for that special day to see our children, right? But imagine, forget about seeing our children for a second. That's going to come one day. But what do I want to be like when my kids see me?
Yes.
I want to be this magnificent person. Am I working every day to that? And that will give you motivation as well. It will give you that motivation to get up every single day. Because we will be compensated for this time that we spent, the patience that we've had, the money that we spent. We will be compensated for it. Like, that's a promise from God as well. It's going to happen. If you're a sister watching this, by the way, and you have said some not so nice things about your ex-husband, I'm telling you, sister, it is not going to help you, because your kids are seeing that. It's not helping your mindset. I'm seeing more and more cases come up for women that have said things that are not true. Let him live his life. He's gone. He's done his business. Whatever. If he's got married 100 more times, that's on him.
Go,
right?
Sister,
I mean,
go. That's
you
it.
do you. You know,
Tell him, sister.
you do you. And also as well, that's same for the brothers as well. If she's gone on to marry someone, that's her business. You do whatever you need to do right now, because honestly, clinging on to the past is not going to help you.
Sister, thank you for coming. Great advice. Sisters and brothers, I have to be fair. You heard that. Thank you for watching Disqualified Dads.